Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Worst First.
It's like so funny hearing you like do the intro and everything because you forget.
Hello, everyone. Just such a radio host.
Yeah,
so terrible.
Well, you're talented at all this stuff, and
Thank
it's
you.
just funny to watch you turn it on.
I was crying 5 minutes ago. I was weeping into Seth's beard.
We were commiserating about COVID and trying to adapt as a people.
Can't see anyone or touch anyone.
Drinks. We'll get boat drinks one of these days.
No, literally, it's scary. I mean, we were talking about...
so concerned about the
like
fingerprint spectrum.
I'm dead. We were talking about how people are with COVID too, how funny it is because it's like you don't want to tell people if you've even been around people. You're like, oh, no. I've been around like one person and they say like to do like if someone says they slept with one person, times that by 3.
Yeah.
And so that's how we're taking the COVID situation. If you say you've been around one person, assume it's been 3 people or so on and so forth.
Totally. This is like one of us is working at a gas station and the other one is questionable.
I love Seth. So
Fill
Seth,
up on pump 6, please.
I literally have my gas station outfit on. It's like I'm like, well, what should I wear for this? Gas station chic. Like, how did this go? I don't know.
That Dukes of Hazzard maintenance crew.
And I bought it, and I paid a lot of money for it. So you know what? They got me.
I back the jumpsuit revolution, though. I think this is an excellent choice of clothing.
Because who wants to think about their outfit?
Yeah, that's what Steve Jobs said.
I wish I had all jumpsuits. I wish my entire wardrobe was just jumpsuits.
Why do you say that? I know 2 different people that have invested heavily in both overall and jumpsuits.
Because it's so easy. You don't have to think about it. You just put it on. It's all one outfit. The only thing I don't like about it is that you have to get completely naked to pee.
Yeah, that's a good point. You should figure out like some butt flap and some kind of plastic lining. You don't spill or stain.
Can you imagine? I just a zipper up the crotch.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make it sexy. A zipper that goes all the way down through the crotch.
Yeah, you put a secondary zipper in your back that you can just unzip from the top of your butt. That's actually a good idea.
I might do it because you know what? I love a jumpsuit. The only thing I don't love is like when you're in a cold bathroom stall and you got to take all your clothes off to go pee.
You should delete this section. You should patent the jumpsuit zipper that goes to your butt, and then you should immediately manufacture a series of jumpsuits that zip in 2 directions.
And tell people why, because it's, you know.
We're joking, but
we're serious.
Yeah, you'd actually sell a bajillion of those.
I'm on the next podcast episode. Hey guys, this podcast is sponsored by...
Check out my new zip front jumper.
This one's called Zippies.
What's a good name for that?
I don't know. What do you think? You're quicker than I am.
The unzipper or the it's sort of like an old union suit with the button flap on the back, so you'd almost go for like
an elf.
The jumper,
naked.
The zipper. You could really almost call it something as basic as that.
The zipper. I love that.
The zipper jumper.
The zipper jumper. And who doesn't love an ass flap? Like just an accessible 2 buttons on the ass, unflap it.
It feels like it's got multiple purposes.
I feel like it could be really cute.
Again, we're talking about this as if it isn't the next big thing
it's
that
happening.
You should actually manufacture and market.
Okay, so you guys are going to see me and Seth on Shark Tank and I go, hey, sharks.
You don't even need them. You could take this straight to a manufacturer and you could make your own line.
I act like I don't have the money. I'm like, hey, sharks. It's me and Seth Green, who's a multimillionaire. We're here to ask you guys for $50 to get this made.
I just want your name to endorse this investment and then I can take it to market.
I feel like the bitches on QVC will love this, Lori. Hit us up.
Take a look at this. I've never seen such ass accessibility. Zip from the behind all the way to the front, and then just spread your flaps and your cheeks over the bowl. A more sanitary experience will never be offered. Get it now for only $79.95. The zipper jumper.
You're doing the voiceover for it.
Let's go to the phones.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, it's Carol here.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Are you enjoying your zipper jumper?
I'm telling you, Seth Green, you know what? I get real tired of whenever I got to take a dump and I'm wearing my jumper and I got to take all my clothes off. So I just want to thank you because you know what? It's been real chilly out here in Wyoming. And you know, when I go out to the barn and I got to feed the horses, sometimes I got to get completely naked. And this way I don't because you know what? I like to shit with them. Makes them feel more comfortable.
Of course it does. And who doesn't like to shit with their animals? Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Enjoy the zipper jumper.
I can't. I love you. We could go on forever.
This is literally
we just go on a total tangent. This is what it is. It just keeps going forever. We could just do that for another hour.
You guys in a bit vortex.
I know the bit. Just the whole rest of the episode's the bit.
Just that. Neither one of us will stop yes-anding.
It's true.
Find ourselves in a terrible place.
It's true. It's true. I'm so glad to have you here. Everyone knows who you are. I mean, you've been in so much shit. Although I will say my favorite film that you were ever in was Party Monster.
Oh, thanks.
That's my favorite one. And if you guys haven't seen Party Monster, it's unreal.
It really is. It's the true story of nightlife in New York in the early 90s, which was kind of a revolution of, or actually like a reintroduction of the kind of artistry and isolated pageantry of like Studio 54, a place where you'd walk in and see like Andy Warhol and Mick Jagger. And so the 90s club scene was all of these pop stars that had become responsible for their own identity. So even characters like RuPaul, the whole ballroom scene that shows like Claws or Pose talk about. It's I guess Pose, not Claws, different environment, but it's that whole scene. So anyway, Party Monster is about the most popular promoter of that time who, spoiler alert, in real life murdered and dismembered his drug dealer. And was not caught because the police were more interested in bringing down the owner of several of the clubs on like racketeering and other charges. So it's really the story of the rise of that movement, and the fall of those clubs themselves.
You were so insane. And then like,
thanks.
What's the guy's name? James St. James.
James
St. James.
Yeah.
You just have to look him up, guys. I mean, and watch this movie because it is like Seth just said, spoiler alert, but this guy, I mean, he is just, the story is so unreal.
Yeah, James is a brilliant writer and actually wrote a book called Disco Bloodbath that the movie Party Monster is based on, and it was made by documentary filmmakers that followed these kids, and so they had hundreds of hours of footage. So Macaulay Culkin and I star in it. We played these two guys, but we had literally hundreds of hours of the real people, not just on talk shows or in club form, but in their own
real
home,
life.
like cooking meth and hanging out together, talking about fashion designs. It was really incredible. So for both of us as actors, there was a wealth to study from, and it made it easier to impersonate a person.
And you played like a queen. Like you were fabulous.
Thank you. James is a really interesting guy because he's not necessarily femme like a swishy bottom. He feels he's really like a grand dame.
He's like like just so
spectacular.
Grand dame, spectacular, just such a
his whole
cool
presentation
character.
it feels very mature and like well earned, right?
Where is he now?
James, he still writing,
and
produces stuff with World of Wonder, which is the company that makes Drag Race.
Wow, that's just so amazing. You can kill somebody and.
Well, James did.
Not him.
No,
the other
Michael Allig.
Michael Allen. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Michael Allig just died.
I thought that's who it was. Okay. Got confused.
Mac plays Michael.
Yeah.
Michael got released from jail and OD'd.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, just a couple years later.
That's what I thought. I heard someone died, and I was like, I thought it wasn't your character. It was the other guy.
No, and I don't know. I have such mixed feelings about it because he's undeniably guilty of all of his crimes.
Right.
And also did tremendously valuable artistic things. And then you just sort of hope, okay, well, after he served his time, that maybe there's a life for him, and he just went like back to drugs. I think it's very hard for people to live sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes, it is hard to just end it right there. Yeah, it is hard to live sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is. I honestly felt like watching the movie, I felt bad for him. Which is weird.
Yeah.
You guys have to watch it. So that's my favorite movie you've been in. Other people know you as Dr. Evil's son. Also, you're the co-creator of Robot Chicken. And guys, Robot Chicken, if you haven't watched it, I mean, this has been on, you said 11 seasons.
11 seasons. It's been 15 years.
15 years, and it's the coolest, stop claymation. Yeah. Just the coolest show, and I've gone to Seth's studio and seen how everything is made, and damn, that takes time.
It really does, yeah.
Holy shit. Just fucking, all right, we got the next. All right, move his finger like this. Okay, take a
stop motion by design is incredibly labor intensive.
And they build and they have these talented artists who build all the the people from scratch and da 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 da. So you've been around forever.
I have been around.
You've been around forever. Yeah. You've just been, but you don't change. You don't look different.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Good. You don't. But you want to tell me about your worst. So we were talking about that. Oh my God, Dad. At an audition.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of the bad things that I've experienced.
Clearly lived in LA long enough.
But also a lot of those include other people that I probably don't want to drag at all.
Right.
But this was an interesting experience. I auditioned for the movie Three Kings, which was directed by David O. Russell, who made Silver Linings Playbook.
Wow.
And a bunch of other movies that are awesome. The first thing I saw him make was a movie called Spanking the Monkey with my old buddy Jeremy Davies. And then he made a movie called what's it called? Flirting with Disaster.
I feel like I've heard of that.
It's a fucking brilliant movie.
What's that about?
It's Ben Stiller and Patricia Arquette and like so many actors. The story is that Ben Stiller finds out his dad is not his dad. And if I remember correctly, it was like Lily Tomlin and Alan Alda are his real parents. And he goes on a road trip with his wife, Patricia Arquette, to try and find his real parents. And it is a fucking masterpiece. Okay, I love David O. Russell as a filmmaker. So I was very excited for this audition. The movie ultimately had George Clooney and Ice Cube and Mark Wahlberg. And the character that I auditioned for is the character that Spike Jonze played. Spike Jonze, a brilliant performer, brilliant director, like a cool and funny guy who I knew from directing all the Beastie Boys stuff and just thought he was awesome. So when I heard that was the guy that Russell wanted for the movie, I thought, oh, why are they even auditioning anybody?
Yeah.
But apparently I found out later, the studio did not want to approve Spike because he'd never been in a feature like that before, and up against guys like Clooney and Ice Cube even and Mark Wahlberg, they were like, oh, we actually need an actor. So the studio insisted on bringing in everybody. When I was there, I saw Juliette Lewis auditioning for the same role.
A guy's part?
Yeah, they just didn't. They were like, I don't know, maybe it's somebody else.
Oh, but penises, vaginas, whatever. The character's very fluid. Yeah,
doesn't matter exactly. So I went in there and I knew the guy was like Southern. And he was supposed to be in a battle and scared and like we're almost out of ammunition or something like that. And I walk into the room and there's nobody in the room except Russell.
Oh my God, I would have a heart attack.
He's sitting there with his back to me and he's got a boombox playing and a video camera in his hand, like a little handheld. And I walk in and I say, hey, what's up? And no answer, just his dancing. He's dancing to the groove, like with his back to me. So I walked up next to him and I said, oh, we're dancing? That's cool. And I just tried to like find his groove. And he looked at me like he didn't think that was cool at all and was like, all right, you know these sides? And I was like, I do. And he goes, all right, go. And he turns the camera on me. And so I was like, okay. Hey, Sarge, it really looks like we're about to run out of ammo. I'm scared. And he's like, no, scream it. You're in the middle of battle. So there's like bullets everywhere and you're screaming, ah, ah, ah. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, go again. And I was like, do you want to cut? And he's like, no, go. And I was like, okay. Ah, geez, Sarge, we're almost out of bullets. And he's like, no, scream it, ah, ah. And like looking at me in the face and like, ah. But with the camera like a millimeter from me. And so I was like, all right, this guy's a genius. I'm going to do what he's trying to do. So I was like, Sarge, we're almost out of bullets, Sarge. Oh, no. And he's like, no, do it like even like dir, like you're dir, like dirt. And I was like, dirt. And he's like, yeah, you're like, no, Sarge, you're dirt. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, go. And I was like, oh, no, Sarge, you're like dirt. We almost out of bullet there. And I was like, I don't know, man.
I'm dying.
I did it like the whole thing. And he was like, will you just scream like at the top of your lungs for 30 straight seconds and then do the first line? And I was like, okay. And mind you, I was currently working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and had taken my lunch break to come audition for this. And I was more like, well, I still have at least 6 hours of filming to do, and it's probably a bad idea for me to blow out my voice for an audition.
Yeah.
But I hadn't gotten to saying that out loud yet.
Yeah.
And so he says, scream 30 seconds, and then you start. And I was like, okay. And so I just went, oh, Sergeant, dirt. And he goes, no, 30 seconds, scream 34 seconds. And I was like,
Jesus.
Oh my God, okay. And so I tried to scream for 30 straight seconds and stopped in the middle and got my breath. And he was like, ah! And I was like, okay, I'll try it again. Ah, dirt, Sergeant. We almost got a bullet there. And I got through it, and he was like, again. And I go, hey, I still got to go back to work. And I really feel like I'm close to blowing out my voice. I've got to assure you, I'll give you anything you want.
Yeah.
Like if you cast me, but I'm already employed on something else that I can't
keep doing this.
Be this irresponsible for. And he was like, I can't even remember exactly what he
He's
said
like,
in that moment.
Get the fuck out.
Kind of in that moment, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, you don't want to do it, and I was like, can you turn the camera off for just a second? Because he's literally filming the whole thing. And this is pre-cell phones. This is pre that kind of camera work, pre-reality really taking over the marketplace that aggressively. And I was like, I gotta, like, it's making me really uncomfortable for you to not cut. And he goes, well, if you don't like being on camera, maybe this is the wrong job. And
my God.
Like, okay, someone else is going to get this part.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing so hard.
That's okay. So as I walked out, I saw, and he was like, yeah. And I walked out, and I saw Juliet. And we worked together when she was like 14 and I was 13. So I was like, oh shit, what are you reading for? And she's like, I'm reading for this part. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just hung out by the door when she went in, and they sounded like they were having more fun with the dirt to dirt.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Obviously,
like,
I didn't get that part. I clearly didn't get that part.
Yeah.
But I always felt like that was kind of a dickish thing, because I really
weird.
I think that Russell wanted Spike
and knew he was going to have Spike.
And knew he wanted Spike.
So he was, I think he was fucking with you.
Well, I think more he was proving a point that the studio hadn't accepted without some kind of evidence. And he was saying, Spike is who I want for this character. Spike is the actor that's going to perform this the way that I want. Uh-huh. And they said, you've got to audition all the other people in Hollywood who might have a name. And so he was like, I'll audition. I'll audition everybody. And when I saw Spike in the movie, he was like, I'm there, Sarge. I ain't never did the bed. And I was like, there's no way I was going to be this. You wanted your friend in the movie. Just like,
isn't that annoying?
It is only because I was very excited to audition for him. Yeah. I love him as a filmmaker, and I was really excited. Even if I wasn't right for the part, I wanted to like show him something.
Yeah.
And I wanted that experience, and instead I felt like I was not even personally sabotaged, because I get the feeling that that's just how he was with anybody.
Yeah.
But it bummed me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. And then even weirder, like I did a movie with Mark Wahlberg, because I had read about Clooney making that movie and getting into a fist fight with Russell at one point.
I think I heard about that too.
Yeah, it was big news that Russell had like bullied some of the extras or something.
And then
Clooney
punched him. I fucking heard about that.
I know. So I asked Mark, like, how was that? And he was like, it was great. We had a great time. And I was like, how was Clooney? And he was like, I don't think Clooney had fun. And I was like, you have fun? Russell's cool with you? And he goes, yeah, me and Russell are great. They had just made, he was going to go shoot I Heart Huckabees or something. And then he made he's worked with him so many times.
Yeah.
And that's what I really think it is. I think that he is a filmmaker, wants what he wants, and doesn't want what he doesn't want. And that's totally fair. Because I had heard that Clooney was what the studio wanted for that movie, and Russell did not want Clooney. And so he was terrible to him, but he really wanted Mark. So he was great to Mark. And so he loves Mark and puts Mark in extra movies, and Mark has the greatest time.
Isn't it so funny when people like you? Like, it's like such a business. Like, when people like you, they're like, I'll call you and put in everything. There's directors that do that all the time. They put their favorite actors in everything, and they love them.
I've always, my whole philosophy for staying employed is to work hard and be nice to people.
Yeah.
And it's really served me well.
And don't you feel like a lot, I mean, at least for me, it's so funny. Like a lot of the jobs that I've gotten have been through friends. It's never been like, I mean, probably not for you because you've gone on huge auditions, but for me, in terms of like booking like whatever little indie movies and things like that, it's always been like friends calling me, being like, "Hey, like come be in this movie," or "Hey, come do this," or "Come do that." You know,
it is so funny that we're like.
It's like when we're fucking puppies behind a fucking.
I just said that.
I know. What a weird world we live in, right?
I know.
Hey, Seth, remember when we used to be able to talk in real life?
Hi, Brittany. Remember when we hug for real life like we're friends?
Remember when I used to sit next to you when you would have sandwiches?
Remember when we shared the same air without these cloth impediments?
I mean, it's almost becoming like a faded memory for me at this point.
What is it to touch people? What is it?
I don't even know anymore. I even get weird about having sex with my own husband. I feel like there should be like a screen between us.
You know, I have a weird time having sex with your husband too because of all the screens.
Oh my God, can you imagine at some point just wearing masks, like to have even intercourse with your partner?
I think that we're developing all kinds of kinks during this traumatic period that we're not even going to unpack for another 5 years. You think about all the kids that are discovering their sexuality in this time, how bizarre it is. Like I grew up in the AIDS epidemic.
Oh my God.
And so me having I was coming from like the culture prior to me was incredibly casual and cavalier with sex. And then everybody.
That's what Tommy said. He's like, you used to be able to fuck anybody. Anywhere.
No big deal.
You didn't even think about it.
Yeah, because the worst you would get is some kind
chlamydia.
of something.
You know, he got all kinds of shit, but not AIDS.
All kinds of shit, but not AIDS. Yeah. So I think like coming out of the 80s into the 90s, everyone was very cautious and condoms were such a big thing. And like it was beyond consent. It was like, hey, I just want to make sure everything is. You're so heady about it that like the generation that grew up sexually fluid, but in the time of the pandemic, it's gonna birth some really bizarre shit.
I feel like it's so weird because I just feel like, I mean, there are people that are dating right now.
I know several people that are dating.
Right?
Yeah, but they're not coming over.
No, they're not coming over.
Not to my house.
Not to my house either. But it's so weird because I talk to my girlfriends and I'm like, aren't you scared? And they're like, no, we like show each other our, and I'm like, it's it's almost like AIDS. Like, it's like, oh, have you been tested? Have you been,
where's your vaccine?
Like, where's your, card that shows you.
You ask the questions like, have you felt sick or runny nose in the last 14 days? Have you had exposure to anybody? You like run down the whole fucking checklist.
Right before you hang out, like they have to fill out like a form.
Yeah. I would love to put my penis in your mouth, but I would really appreciate you just checking these 9 boxes and then sign at the bottom. I'm gonna send you a DocuSign so I've got a digital copy.
A DocuSign. I mean, it's so weird. Like I'm so glad. Like I'm married. You're married. Like it's so nice to not be single in this time because it's not cool.
I know. I feel for a lot of my friends, and worse because it's already very difficult to meet
people. Now it's so extra hard.
Yeah, but I do know a lot of people that got married after dating online.
Really?
Yeah, pre-pandemic.
They were dating a long time online.
They met online.
Okay.
And got married as a result of it.
I met my husband online.
That's very funny.
Raya. Do you die?
Do
you know what Raya is?
I do. I had this terrifying moment where like my wife and I would talk because you always get that place of like, oh, well, what if we are, because we've been together 10 years now.
Long time.
And so several times you have that question of like, is this still working? Yeah. What do we have to do to make it work, right?
My husband's probably feeling like that right now, and it's been like 2 minutes. He's like, I don't know, is it still dead?
I don't know, just go and check. It's not the best Tommy in person.
Good.
He's got like 2 feet on me in every direction.
Stop, I can't. Wait, so you were kind of like,
oh yeah, but I even thought about, God, I don't want to date anybody.
No, it's gross.
We actually like each other. My wife and I, we actually really get along and enjoy spending time together. I don't want to fucking date anybody.
Dating people sucks.
Yeah.
And because it's like, and that's the thing is I feel like, people in long-term relationships, I've had so many friends like this who are like, they get a little curious. Like maybe I should have given somebody else a chance or this or that. But then you're like, but that feeling gets old with everyone. That infatuation, that goes away with everybody. That initial and then if you're best friends and you like each other, then it lasts.
You
and
keep
it's like
renewing it.
Yeah, you keep renewing it. But like that initial butterfly-y feeling that people are like, I'm gonna get divorced over these butterflies, like fuck it. These butterflies are telling me to fly away, I
spent so much time working on movies and playing parts that I saw the cycle of that curiosity and infatuation dissolve at the end of like actually knowing somebody. So I've never acted on any of that kind of feelings. And often if you're acting in something with somebody, your goal is to create chemistry. Your actual responsibility is to make the audience believe that you're falling for each other. And that can be really confusing to a lot of people. That was actually something that Claire and I bonded over. Was, yeah, our external perception of the meaning of love scenes. Yeah. Right. Because we both done a bunch of like love scenes that should be very intimate and they're just not.
And you're just kind of like,
they're just not. But both of us had been with a partner, like a dance partner in that love scene, who was like, oh, this is something. You know what I'm saying?
Bad.
So as a result, we bonded over the fact that neither one of us caught feelings in the midst of performing feelings.
I mean, that happens to people. Like just happened with that movie Palmer with Justin Timberlake. He played this character and named Palmer, and it's like a long story. Anyway, there's this girl in the movie that is his love interest, and it like came out all these pictures of him holding her hand like at a dinner and like kissing her and all this stuff. And he's married to Jessica Biel. You know, it's just so interesting. Like, I mean, I think it happens, you know, and like it's sad, you know, but I think sometimes it just gets confusing, you know, but I don't think it's serious. I mean, I don't know, but
well, that's where I come from. So I haven't acted on those kind of feelings, but it is incredibly confusing, especially if somebody hasn't been through that kind of thing before.
As an actor, I'm sure, like, and then girls are so like, oh, he likes me. Oh, like it's just so
boys too.
Yeah. So everybody, you know, I mean, fuck, it's really difficult, but you know, thank God I don't leave my house. So it's really nice.
Not anymore.
It's like anybody. I don't leave my house anymore.
I'm never going anywhere.
I never go anywhere. So there's nothing for anyone to ever worry about with me. I'm like locked up in a castle. Dude, I'm fucking just like, I want to tell everyone our story of like how we met.
Yeah.
Because people are probably like, how do you guys know each other? So Seth and I started doing Vine. Everyone knows this, like 2014, 13, and became friends with Eric Blackman, who is our friend.
But I had already seen your
seen
Vine,
my Vine.
because I was so curious about that platform in the first place and how anybody's making not just content, but daily content. You were the only woman on the platform that was making viable daily content. So that made me pay attention to you. And I initially called you in. I was curious what your aspirations were for writing. We're always looking for new writers for Robot or for any other projects. So that was our first meeting. And then it was Saul, your manager?
Saul Goodman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at God, what was that agency? I don't even remember the name of it. They dismantled.
But he even stopped working there and started a different company.
He did.
But he approached me because you were having all these opportunities
to do a show.
MTV was really pushing hard. They wanted you to make a sketch show. I absolutely saw the viability of that and thought you could absolutely star in like a troupe show. And that was my goal, was to put a troupe around you and then make a pilot like that.
Yes.
So we got a deal to produce our presentation, which was a 7-minute pilot presentation for TBS.
Yes.
I had a great time. And I'm sure you remember Heidi Gardner.
Dude, I was just going to say this.
Yeah.
So Seth was like, Seth brought in all these actors to kind of surround me in, and I wish I could share it. I don't even know if I could share it, but all these actors to surround me in this sketch comedy show.
I bet we could put that out.
Probably now.
Like, even if it's just on YouTube, because nobody's got there's not even liens against it unless somebody wanted to reproduce it.
Right.
So just putting it out wouldn't be a problem.
So Seth's like, I'm going to bring all these people. And one of the people was Heidi Gardner, who's now on SNL. Yeah. Like,
but that was the goal, was to like
so
get a good group around you. Ben, Sydney,
Simon,
it was a good group.
Sydney, and then
Dan.
Dan, I freaking love Dan.
I do too,
dude. He's funny. He's awesome. So it was just really fun. I had so much fun doing that. That was such a fun thing. And then, as usually happens, a new head of regime came in at TBS and killed everything that had been developing before that. I always felt bad because I thought we had a good shot at it. It was just about. Yeah, but more, I wanted you to get that specific type of shot. Like, I thought that
that was a very good format for you. Some of it's just timing.
I know.
It's so hard how much of it is just fucking timing.
It's so funny. And people would always say to me, like, why aren't you on a show? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? I'm like, well, I don't fucking know, okay? Like, why don't you ask God? Because apparently he has other plans for me. Like, it was so frustrating. I felt like everything, you know?
But you've always been such a self-maker.
Always.
Yeah.
I feel like when I walk into auditions, they're like, you're not directing this, by the way. Like, they're very, you know.
That's a very difficult thing. You know, we had Rachel Bloom.
Oh my God, I was going to share this too.
A writer on Robot. And it's the same kind of thing where you meet somebody who is uniquely talented, and yes, they can participate in whatever your thing is, but it's better to build something around them as a centerpiece. That was always the way I felt.
Did you help her with My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
We didn't have anything to do with it. We did some of their opening titles. They had an animated opening title. We did that for them.
So that I remember.
But that was all her. She developed it originally for Showtime. And it was a slightly different pitch, and then they sold it to CW.
I totally remember when I came in and I was like going to write for you. And I remember she was like one of the girls, and she was one of your female writers. And then later I'm like, oh my God, she's got her own show now, you know? And she wrote for you for years, right? On Robot?
It's one of my proudest things is that we've gotten a lot of people very young that we believed in. And I like to think that we helped train and nurture them so that they could go make their own thing. We have so many people who've come to write for us that have gone on to showrun and EP their own shows.
I remember when I came in and you were like showing me around, and Seth was like, oh yeah, by the way, this is like a job. Like, this isn't like a, you know, you show up at like, because I was on my own schedule at that point, like with Vine, where I would like wake up at 3 p.m., like do some Vines, like drink a bottle of wine and like pass out. Like you were
you're not obligated to anybody except your own delivery schedule.
Seth was like, no, this is, so I remember asking you, I was like, so like, what time do they come in? Because I thought it was like come as your own thing. Like, as you get ideas, bring them to us, right?
You just set up a TikTok influencer mansion. Everybody can do your own thing. No cameras everywhere. You just grab it, plug into the internet, poop, upload it, whatever.
So you do a TikTok, we take your videos, and we turn them into episodes of Robot Chicken. Yeah. This is what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking like you're just going to have me make vines for you and then animate them.
How do you know until you know?
So I show up and you're like, no, this is like, I was like, what are the hours? And I remember you're like, oh, people get here at like 8 and stay till like 6 or later. And
Those
I was
were
like,
the days.
I'm sorry, 8 a.m.?
Yeah,
you're like,
6 p.m.
Till 6 p.m. or later. And I was like, I remember I left and I called my agent and I was like, bro, I got way too much anxiety for this. Like, I need sleep. Like, I don't know if I can handle like you know, I don't know if I could handle this job, you know? And they were like, oh, it's a really good opportunity. I was like, I know, but I don't think I could do it, you know?
It is an intense thing, and it's such a specific task too. Like we find writers all the time that any of us love, and then that room is really challenging for them. Just because of the type of content. It's all this short form sketch content.
Yeah.
And we're limited in some ways, but we have totally free reign in other ways. So it's just very hard.
I know. Short form content's hard. I mean, I go back and I look at my Vines and I'm like, fuck, I don't even know how I did this.
How did you do that?
Like, but when you do it so much and you work that muscle so much, it becomes sort of secondary.
100%.
It really does. It really does. With anything, like if you really work at anything enough, it becomes sort of secondary to you. So
and just the opposite too. If you don't spend time working on something, then you start to lose your habit.
Totally. Yeah. If I tried to make a Vine now, I'd be like, dirt! Like I'd get that's out in 6 seconds.
But also think about how much the culture of telling jokes has changed
in
the last
so
6 years.
It's so different.
But that, again, I see that happen all the time. I love comedy.
Yeah.
I grew up on much older comedy, and watching the way certain things just evolve, certain trends, certain joke dispensing, and it comes with the sophistication or the familiarity of the audience, what they know, what they can tune into in that moment.
It's so nuts, man. Like I honestly watch some Vines now and I'm like, well, that's not very funny. But like with TikTok, I'm like, do you go on TikTok?
I've seen TikToks.
TikToks are funny. You should download it because I'm telling you right now, like I actually I've laughed so hard at it.
That's awesome.
And it's like a new
Have you thought about, are you interested in that format?
I'm doing it.
Oh, you are?
I have 1.4 million followers on it.
Of course you do. course you do.
Look, Seth, I got a lot of time on my hands, okay?
Yeah, but you're also an incredibly viable product that just needs a market outlet.
Videos.
You shouldn't. Why would you?
It just turns into porn. I'm like, I can't. All of a sudden, there's dicks involved. I'm
it
like,
always
fuck.
does.
It took a dark turn. God, I've been in LA too long.
No, just call it, what's it called? Not rated.
Like, it's funny porn, guys.
It's not rated cinema.
It's not rated. It's coming to my OnlyFans. Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Seth Green. I'm going to tell you guys all about how he got started. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back, guys, with Seth Green after his long...
And we're back with Seth Green. I've never seen somebody pee for so long. It's like torrential rains in there.
I'm like, you okay, buddy? Get that prostate checked? What's going on?
Oh, that's a lot of blood.
I want to talk about, like, when you came to LA. Didn't you live at Oakwood Apartments?
I did.
Everyone did.
Yeah.
Do you know Tommy lived there?
Really?
Yes. What if you guys lived there at the same time?
Oh, God. I was there 3 different summers in a row. It's probably like 87, 88,
I feel like that's when he lived there.
That's very funny. There was a ton of people staying there. All of the kids. There was a show. God. Leo DiCaprio was there. Tobey Maguire. Heather and Jen McComb. Is Jay Ferguson there? I can't remember. It was all these kids.
So many famous people have lived there. By the way, guys, this is for people that don't live in LA, the Oakwood is like a furnished apartment building place. It was like Burbank.
a super inexpensive furnished apartment living behind guard gates.
Exactly.
And it was right next to Warner Bros. It's still it's a different name now, but it was the place. It was like where you went. But it was also like summer camp for actors because you'd go to auditions during the day. And then you come back in this quasi resort space that had, a pool and pool tables and a screening room. I saw Spinal Tap for the first time at the Oakwood.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was all these kids and we were just sort of hanging out there.
And running around. You were like running around with like Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire and like just hanging out.
I almost got into so many fights with Leo when we were younger.
Why?
He's an incredibly obnoxious person.
He was mean
I
to
was
you.
very obnoxious too. So those levels of obnoxiousness together did not vibe well.
You guys running by each other. You're annoying. You're annoying.
We became friendlier later in time, but at that point he was incredibly annoying.
It's so funny. I hear so many stories about him. I have one story about him. I was waitressing at the All-Star game. It was like basketball, whatever, All-Star, whatever.
Like early 2000s?
Yeah, I was like hired by a modeling company to like waitress this like celebrity All-Star party. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I got his table and none of the other girls wanted it. And I was like, that's so weird. I wonder why no one else wants to wait on him. Like I was so excited, right? And he was there with his girlfriend at the time. I don't remember who it was, some blonde model. And he had his hat and he had his head down. And I'd be like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Brittany. What can I get you? Can I sit here with some drinks? Blah, 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 right? He doesn't even look at me. He's like, oh, da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, whatever, right? So I'm just taking care of them all night, whatever. Then the night comes to an end and all the girls are like checking out their tables, whatever. And they don't pay for anything. They usually leave a tip, like a really big tip, right? So all the girls, like one of the girls' tables leaves. She's like, oh my God, so-and-so left me $1,500. I'm like, oh my God. Then another girl's table leaves and she's like, oh my God, I got $2,000 in tip. I'm like, oh my God. And like, I'm just waiting for his table to get up. I'm like, oh my God, like wonder what's going to happen. He left me nothing. Oh. Not even a fucking dollar.
I wonder if somebody else was supposed to be responsible for leaving the tip.
I will never forget it, Leonardo DiCaprio. I was so hurt. And I did such a good job. I wasn't annoying. I didn't try to be his friend or like make jokes or like stay around too long. Like
I have zero explanation for that. I can only tell you that he has grown into an incredibly responsible and impressive adult.
Okay, because I was so sad. I was like, and that's why the girls were like, see, I don't ever. One girl came to me. She's like, that's why you got his table because you're new and he never leaves tips. And I was like, thanks. So I like pretty much just got paid whatever the modeling agency paid me, just like $4,
Oh,
and I'm like fucking, I was so gnarly, but I will never forget that. Isn't it funny? Different experiences with everything.
I mean, I've never had to work in service.
Yeah.
And so I can only from my own perspective, but I worked with Wallace Shawn when I was 8 years old. And
Who's that?
He's the guy from The Princess Bride who says, inconceivable. He's the teacher in Clueless.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's been in millions of movies. But
I love him.
I got to make a movie with him when I was 8. And he was already quite successful at that point. And he told me that because he's never had to wait tables, whenever he leaves a tip, he tips 110%.
I love him.
And so I started whenever I was able, leaving huge tips. Because I've never had to work in service. It's an incredibly difficult and challenging job. And so I always try and
I've worked in it and I leave huge tips because I know how much it sucks and how many people don't leave good tips.
But I will say, and I'm not trying to justify that action. I'm only trying to posit that in a lot of those situations where you go out with a large group of people, typically the person with the most money is not responsible for actually making the transaction. Right. So if I went out with a group of people, someone else would handle the credit cards and stuff like that.
Every time I go out with Tommy, everyone makes him pay.
No, I just mean
all his friends are like.
But there would be somebody else maybe who makes sure that everything gets paid for, so that you're not having to be at the hostess booth at the end of the night. Yeah.
Hey, you did a good job. I can't see that. Can you tell me, is that a 9 or a 6?
What's 6% of 1,300?
Oh my God. So that's my memory. But the fact that I just want to talk about, you came to LA. Where did you originally grow up again? New York, right?
Philadelphia.
Or Philadelphia. We were both from Philadelphia. That's what I thought.
But I auditioned out of New York.
Yes.
That was where I got all my work.
Yeah.
I didn't really get any work in Philly.
And then you came to LA.
Yeah. I started coming to LA. I got to do an episode of Amazing Stories when I was 9 years old, maybe 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I got to come to LA.
Wow.
And then I just kept coming back for auditions. And by the time I was 14, it was really apparent. I'd already been out there for 2 pilot seasons out here. And it became really obvious that if I wanted to take a real swing at this, I had to live in Los Angeles.
Are your parents proud of you?
I think so.
They don't be like, dude, we're so proud of you.
I mean, they've both said something similar. My relationship with my parents is not complicated, but I also have not ever gotten the things that people talk about getting from their parents when they talk about having, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My parents were incredibly supportive. They were, they helped facilitate all of my dreams coming true.
Did they want you to be an actor? You wanted to be an actor. So you told them, guys, I need you to take me to auditions.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing? Take me. This is what I do.
That's probably why they don't say they're proud of you. Guys, what the fuck are you doing? Mommy, take me to this fucking audition.
Kind of.
I can't.
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely I don't feel any lack of love or attention or support from them.
Right.
Yeah.
But so you were that little and said, I want to be an actor. Yeah. And they were like, okay, we'll get you going.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. That's great.
It is, yeah. It's very rare.
I went to my dad and I was like, I want to be a model. And he took me to the mall and got me glamour shots. And he's like, well, that's it.
That's how it works. Yeah, it is crazy. I talk to a lot of kids that started at the same age or even just friends of mine when I was 17 years old and had already been working in my chosen career for 8 years. Other friends of mine were in their second year of college still trying to figure out what to major in. And I really take note of how fortunate I am to have had such certainty at a young age because it allowed me to get a jump on things.
Dude, did you go to regular school or did you just do it on the side?
A little bit of both. I mean, I graduated from my school in Philadelphia that I attended K through 12, but I had whole semesters that I was educated outside.
Because you were shooting.
So I had an on-site tutor and I finished the same curriculum and then turned it in. And then, it was just my vice principal being cool enough to let me walk with my class.
Wow. Yeah. Would you come back to school and kids treat you differently because you were on TV?
Yeah, but I'd also been doing it for the entirety of our scholastic career. So
anybody that's Seth the thespian.
Well, it's different. Like when I was in 3rd or 4th grade and was leaving to do commercials or leaving for a couple months to make a movie, it led to a lot of just feeling left out in general, right? Because I couldn't participate in any extracurricular after school activities. I couldn't sign up for any clubs or groups because my schedule was so erratic. And also, if I tried to engage everybody and be friends with everybody, people accused me of thinking I was such hot shit because I was on TV. And if I kept to myself and tried not to try with anybody, everybody said I was so stuck up because I'm on TV. And so I felt a little bit like there was a no-win. Yeah. But I, even talking about it after the fact, the level of bullying or whatever that I felt that I felt in school is nothing compared to what kids have to deal with today, just with the invent and acceptance of social media. Like my buddy's got a 17-year-old daughter, and what she's dealt with growing up is categorically different.
Dude, we are so lucky.
I know. I look at like Justin Bieber, and I feel for that kid because he's just had the focus on him. You know, it looks like we're learning a little bit. People are retrospectively saying that everybody mistreated Brittany.
Poor Brittany.
Yeah. There was a period of time where paparazzi and that entire apparatus was hunting those young girls. I was friends with Lindsay Lohan at that time and Scarlett Johansson, and just the way the magazines were intentionally trying to pit girls against each other.
I see it now.
Yeah.
It's like they try to make like villains and they try to make like their own storylines, and it's just so sad. I mean, I watched that Britney Spears documentary, and it was just like the poor girl couldn't catch a break. You know, she was going through so much, and like they were just constantly in her face. It's like, God, get the fuck away from me.
They're just selling magazines.
Yeah.
You know, and the car crash. Everybody learned with Anna Nicole Smith that a car crash will sell. And bigger than any kind of well-intentioned content. And so all of these magazines in the early 2000s came to the US and started projecting the UK style of paparazzi on this culture. Tried to make the Olsen twins in a fight against Lindsay and Paris Hilton, and like these wars, Team Firecrotch and whatever the fuck.
There was nothing going on.
Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
It's stupid. So that's where I think the success of the Kardashians came, was they were willing to supply all of these tabloids with a constant cycle of
drama
narrative.
Yeah.
Right? If you really look at the Kardashians,
dude, it's every day.
But every magazine cover, they've covered all the bases from, married, The Ring, an affair, divorce, having the kid, your
surrogacy,
ex, just all the fucking thing. Right, even to Caitlyn Jenner having a sex change. It's like they covered every potential family.
The Kardashians are like, you need topics? We got topics.
They were like, oh, Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt aren't sitting for you. We'll Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt will be happy to meet you on Venice Beach.
It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
Only crazier that the audience stops recognizing that they're witnessing a magic trick and believe that any of this is actually reality.
I know. I mean, I've like loosely maybe some of it, but it's like, it's just so sad. I feel like every time I'm looking at any of that stuff, which isn't often, but when I do, it's always bad. It always isn't. It's not good. It's not like happy news.
Have you watched Ted Lasso?
No. What's Ted Lasso?
It's Jason Sudeikis. It's a show on Apple, and I don't think I can more highly recommend it.
Really?
It's the absolute antidote to everything we're talking about.
Really? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to watch that.
You'll love it.
Yes, and what was that other movie you told me to watch that you said in the beginning that was the movie the guy directed that you said was so good? Where Ben Stiller goes to find his
Flirting with Disaster.
Okay, so
I'll text
Ted Lasso and Flirting with Disaster. Yeah. I mean, I got the time. Let's be honest. In quarantine, I've already watched everything that I could possibly watch.
Flirting with Disaster is an incredibly funny movie, and there's so much good shit in it. You'll really enjoy yourself.
I'm gonna definitely watch it. And now Ted Lasso, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, you'll love that.
I'm so excited. I love having you here.
I know, right?
You're like, it's like you know what's funny is I haven't seen you in probably like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it feels like just yesterday.
Well, I actually think that we're friends in real life, and we'll potentially go months or longer without seeing each other. We're still going to be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
Unless
feels
you
like
change dramatically.
Never. I got bangs. That's it.
That's it.
I got bangs.
I don't know. It's like I don't even know you anymore.
What is it? There's something different about you. Oh, you got bangs.
That's funny. Maybe next time I see Tommy, he'll remember that we've met like 30 times.
Can I tell you something funny about Tommy?
We did so much because I've been in this since, the early 80s. And as a result, we were in several places at the same time.
Together.
Yeah, but not in a meaningful way.
Doesn't matter.
Never like the two of us having a conversation. It's always like in a crowd, on a press line, at MTV, like, oh my God, look at Busta Rhymes. It was never like, oh, hey, Tommy, good to hang out with you and remember my name.
Yeah, but you know what's funny about Tommy? He's been engaged to people and he can't remember their name. That's like the sad part. I was talking to him the other day because we were just, like I said, getting a house, and we were driving around the area, and he goes, oh, I used to like, I almost proposed to a girl who lived in this area. And I said, what was her name? He goes, I don't remember. I'm like, how?
I do love him.
Do you not remember?
Because he's lived a life most people couldn't even like watch. He's truly lived it.
He has, but it's scary because I'm like, God, I know I could name pretty much every person that I've had a long-term relationship with. I definitely could. Easy.
But he hasn't lost any of his skill. He's still a brilliantly talented musician.
Yeah, I mean, other than just not remembering, I guess, people of his past.
He can read sheet music.
Yeah, that's it. That's all he needs to do. But it's actually kind of funny because I'm like, oh gosh, like, you know, and then like I'll be like, you know, what, you know, when was somebody he was married to? When was their birthday? I don't know. So crazy to me.
There's a point where your brain is like so
overloaded. Yeah. I mean, I've never had that. I've never been busy enough to have that. I'm like, oh, I can focus on everything. I can tell you their moon rising, their sun rising. Like, never had enough of going on in my life. But you guys are busy, so that's why.
That's fair.
It becomes pushed to the back. Anyway, I love you, and I'm so glad you're here. And guys, the next season of Robot Chicken is out when?
Probably before summer.
And
we'll have a half-hour special, and there's a Christmas. Well, I think there's a Halloween special this year, not a Christmas special.
Yeah. And am I so stupid? Is Family Guy still going?
Family Guy is still going.
What season is that on?
It's into the late teens or early 20s.
Oh my God.
I know. I can't even.
And so Seth, you guys know, is obviously on Family Guy. So that's.
I play a son. His name is Chris, and most of the time he spends deep in the basement playing with toys and sometimes masturbating or pooping.
I can't. Did you have to audition for that?
I did audition for that. Every good job I've gotten, I auditioned for.
Wow. Yeah. Were you up against a lot of people? I
think I just had a different idea, which
Did you go in with that voice?
I went in with a. This is as stupid as it gets.
Hey, Seth McFarlane.
It was worse than that. So the drawing is like a surfer dude, and so everyone was like, "Oh, bro, I'm like catching the machine. Well, look at these waves, bro." Like that was the kid.
Yeah.
And I had spent the whole week with a friend of mine, Charlie Korsmo, who was in Can't Hardly Wait with me. Was in town.
Which one was he? I love that fucking movie.
He's the nerdy kid who winds
with the black hair.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love him. Who steals the gumball machine?
Yeah.
No, that was you who stole the gumball.
No, that's
sorry, I'm messing up. That's Party.
That's a different. It's the same movie but a different character.
Oh, okay.
The klepto kid who steals the cop car.
Yes.
Yeah, different character. But Charlie came to stay at my house for the week that we were doing our press junket. Save him on a hotel.
Yeah.
We hung out that whole week. And I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about Silence of the Lambs and talking about Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs and how funny that scene was where he's like, "Oh, wait a minute. Was she a great big fat person?" Remember that character?
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Well, this character, he's kidnapping and murdering women. And the first time you see him, like kidnapping somebody, he's got a van and he's got a fake cast on his arm and he's like trying to load some stuff in the van, and this girl comes over, he's like, "You okay?" And he's like, "Oh, I need some help." And she's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "I'm trying to load this in the van." She's like, I'll help. And as she's going into the van, he's like, "What are you, about a size 7?" And then he slams the door on her. And I don't know, Charlie and I just spent a whole week pitching that guy in other jobs and imagined him like at the drive-thru at Jack in the Box, like, "Just make sure you use some French fries with that. Do you want a piece of a cheesecake pie?"
I just love how you are with people.
We just laughed.
Like, I just love that.
That just made us laugh the whole week. And then I went in on this audition. I was like, "Can I try something? I know this is stupid, but where the guy was this guy?" And he was like, "Oh, Dad, how was your week down at the brewery, Dad?" They were like, "Can you make that a little younger?" And I was like, "How was your week at the brewery, Dad?" I got that fucking job.
And that's how you did it.
Yep.
All thanks to Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. That's amazing. And you've been on there forever.
Yeah, it's the best job I've ever had.
You're busy. That's so good.
I stay busy.
You do stay busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you.
And
what's it like to be so successful?
Look at this. Look at where we're living. What are you talking about?
Dead. It's all my husband's. Anyway, guys, make sure to follow Seth on Instagram, and you're on Twitter. You're on everything.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm still on my...
Just at Seth Green.
Yeah.
Just follow him at Seth Green. You guys know how to spell Seth and Green, I hope. If you don't know how to spell it, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. But
I'm the other one.
He's one of the funniest, coolest, most down-to-earth people that I've known and met out here. And so definitely make sure you check it out. Make sure you check out the new season of Robot and follow everything he's got going on. Check out where he lives. Follow him out of his house. Someone actually does it. Just
please
kidding. Don't do that part.
That's not, no, not serious.
Not serious. Stay tuned for Zippies, which Seth and I will be coming out with.
That's what we're all about. The zipper jumper.
We're gonna be releasing the zipper jumper.
I'm so serious about that.
I know. I feel like we can make it.
That's
but actually really cute.
Yeah.
Where like the zipper goes like it just starts here and goes down all around under the crotch, and there's another zipper, so you don't have to go this way if you don't want to. You can go from just the butt if you want.
I've seen I have a couple of sweaters that have a zipper pull at the top.
And the bottom. So
you can just
have multi-options.
The midsection open.
People like options. Yeah, so we're gonna work on that. Anyway, make sure to stay tuned for another episode next week, and thank you all for listening to this podcast. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.